In this video, I'm gonna explain to you why I think you need to stop using so many layers. Now, if you're a digital artist, right, you probably got into it because there's all those extra features, right? You get the layers, it's so much more freedom, so much more options, and it's less destructive. How could that be a bad thing? Well, that's what I'm gonna explain. So a lot of professional artists, right, that have been drawing for multiple years, working in the industry, they often tell beginners or intermediate artists, anyone, I always see these videos saying that they have to use these layers and they should set up like clipping masks and a separate layer for the eyelid and the eyelashes. You need 5 different layers for an eyeball. And I think this makes it so much like your learning slows so much by using all these layers. Now, I have 2 big issues with them. The first one is simply the enjoyment factor. When I've used multiple layers, if I look at my old art, I have 80 layers. I have no idea what any of those layers are for. Do I name them? I know you're not naming them. No one's naming them. So that just adds a level of clutter when you have to switch between your shadow layers and your like different clothing layers, and you draw on the wrong layer. It just adds this inconvenience to making art. And art should be fun and like should flow. You should just be able to eyedrop, start painting whatever. Oh, I want to work on the foot, I want to work on the eyeballs. You shouldn't have to switch layers to do that. You should be able to bounce around. So I think it creates this focus on a specific thing, which is already really bad for your art. You should be thinking about the art as a whole piece, not just these individual sections. And when you layer them, it gets your brain into a kind of mode where you're actually just focused on these tiny details that don't matter. So first reason is just simply the enjoyment of it, and to get you to stop focusing on these individual things. It just makes the workflow so much less enjoyable. The next thing is to do with your learning. I think a lot of people, they compensate with the layers because they're not confident with their skill. They want to make the hair, right? They've drawn the face, they want to draw the hair. But they do one hairstyle, then they're like, I want to change this one strand. So they'll make a whole new layer for it. And then they'll mess around with it, and then they'll end up deleting it. And it just teaches you to not commit to your actions. Now, it can be great. What I recommend for using layers is to keep it to a minimum. You should have the background, the characters on a separate one, and then maybe foreground elements. You should always try to keep it as minimal as you can, especially at the earliest stages in the drawing. Because I think having the characters separate from the background makes sense because you have the environment, right? You put a character in there. Now, if you want to just move it a little bit, you don't want to have to destroy the whole background and repaint it all. That's gonna cost you time. I think if the layers are helping speed up your process, it's a good thing, but if it's making it unintuitive and you have to constantly switch layers, that's when it becomes an issue. So I think you should try to keep around that 3 range. If you're doing a character, like honestly just 1. You should be able to draw the clothes, the hair, the face, all of it on the same layer. And it might initially seem like you're limiting yourself, but if you get used to being able to destroy the art you make and be confident with your changes, it's going to lead to a lot more progress later on. Now, what I think you should do, or think of how you should think of layers, is I like to do the bulk of the work and then have it all flattened down onto like a few layers. And then when I experiment, you add a layer so you don't have to worry about destroying what you've made. You can make a new layer or duplicate, experiment on it like a whole bunch. See if you like it. If you do like it, you flatten it down and commit to it. You don't have to have 400 options. I think a lot of the reasons professionals give this advice is because when they work with clients specifically, it's a lot easier to have a layer for the clothing that you can change just to show them, oh, like what would this shirt look like yellow or white? But if you're making art for yourself or just wanting to actually improve, really commit to picking a color and sticking with it. It will help you so much more in the long run. And I think for me personally, it's been the most enjoyable change to my process that I've made. As soon as I stopped using AT layers, all of my art just became, it's so much quicker to do and so much more enjoyable to just bounce around. I think that's such an important thing for beginners especially to focus on, is to treat the drawing as a whole image rather than individual sections. So the fact that it's all on one layer means you're able to really quickly just go from different elements and bring them all up together as the whole image rather than individually working on a shadow pant layer. You don't need that. No one needs that. Anyways, please try this. I know it will seem initially like it's making you have less freedom, but less options and having to commit more gives you, it's way better of an approach, and you will learn so much more by doing this. Your confidence will grow. The speed that you make art will also increase drastically, and your just enjoyment, which I think should be one of the most prioritized thing, especially when you're beginning. You don't need 50, 80 layers or on clipping masks, section them all out and having to, I think that another thing, if you do the line art, having to block in all of those different colors, it's boring. Who's doing that? That sucks. That sucks so much. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment if you have any, and bye.